But when I first saw this, I took some very messy notes on this, and I was supposed to like organize it, but I didn't. So I'm just gonna see what I had to like. What was my first like bleh, like thoughts on my notepad? Yeah. Okay. So here's what I said. Here's what I thought. Here's the first thing I wrote, and I'm gonna explain what I meant. Okay. I said it's not Jesus that makes the narrative world and the objective world touch. It's the story. It's the storyteller. His story is part of the objective world. So what did I mean? Okay, let me read it again. It's not Jesus that makes the narrative world and objective world touch. It's the storyteller. His story is part of the objective world. So what do I mean by that? So I also believe in the power of stories, right? I really do think that this is why I tell people that I have a love-hate relationship with religions, okay? I hate Islam and Christianity as a guide to life. And I hate it as certain stories that people actually believe in that it happened, okay? People thinking that these stories, like gullible people to actually thinking like, oh yeah, Jesus rise to heaven, Muhammad cut the moon. I hate it if that's the effect of it, right? However, I love this. I love them because not this. And here's the thing: I don't even love the stories per se. Right? When I look at the stories, the mythology, they're not the best stories that we have ever written, right? We have like a lot of people, even the other stories that people think like promote as alternative to popular religions like Norse mythology, Greek mythology. They're good, some of them, but modern storytellers have really figured out
they've dialed it in.
They have turned this into a science, right? The art of storytelling, right? They have figured out.
They teach you how a story should move in English class.
Yes, and
they even made a graph for it.
Many graphs, like, and the psychological impacts of stories. So modern story writers are a lot better than anything that has people older generations have written.
Hey guys, if you're a fan of blasphemy and sexy Kali, like me, then that means that you probably want more blasphemous art. Well, I have good news for you. If you subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description below, then you get a free booklet of some of the tastiest blasphemous art available today. So, if you want some of this delicious blasphemy, and we're so generous that we update it for you guys weekly for free, all you have to do is sign up for our newsletter below. You can also go to blasphemousart.com/ebook. That's blasphemousart.com/ebook. Sign up with your email, and you get free gifts of this tasty blasphemy. What could be better? So make sure you sign up. Link below.
But the thing about mythology is neither the value that I see in that is neither the fact that these happened, because they didn't, or the fact that they're good stories, because they're not. But they tell a different story. This is where it gets meta, okay? They tell a story about the people who told those stories, okay? They tell a story about us. Why did we tell those stories? We have thousands of years worth of people eventually leading to Islam and Christianity, these stories becoming the most popular stories.
In Scientology.
Yeah, but why? Why did these stories become the most popular stories? Why did the people tell those stories? Where did these people get those stories from? Where is the history? Why is this story from here so similar to another story mentioned? Why is the story of Muhammad, Gabriel coming to Muhammad and telling him, "Iqra bi ismika allazi khalaq"? Why is that story so similar to another story of a priest in England, in the UK, and that story being told a couple of years before Muhammad's story. And these are so far apart. When Angel Gabriel came to Muhammad and said, read, I cannot, and Muhammad said, I cannot read. And then the angel said, read again, and Muhammad said, I cannot read. And then the angel Gabriel like squeezed him, and Muhammad couldn't breathe anymore. And then angel Gabriel said again, read. And Muhammad said, oh, what should I read? Because he's like, God damn it, like this guy's not even gonna, what do you want me to read? Why is that story so similar to another story in England a couple of years before the story, where when an angel comes to a priest or some monk or something and says, sing, and the priest says, I cannot sing, and the angel says again, sing, and the priest says, I cannot sing, and then eventually the angel says again, sing, and the priest says, what should I sing? And then it ends the same way, where Muhammad eventually says that story was like written in his heart, and that the priest says that he memorized it by heart. These are too similar for them. Again, they're too far away for them want to be a copy of each other. So these are, now this is not just about the story of Muhammad. Now this is about the story behind the stories, right? When you see Exodus, the story of Exodus, okay? When the Jews were supposed to have left Egypt in such a huge number, any archaeologist worth anything will tell you now that that's impossible. That story did not happen. There's no way that many Jews came out of Egypt and went to Palestine, went to the land of the Canaanites, and there was no trace. Like, it's like much smaller level of population movement would have been left so much evidence of it. It is beyond reasonable doubt today that story didn't happen. But that story is fake, but there's a real story behind that fake story. There's a real story behind the people who told that story. What's the story of people who told you that story? And why did they tell you that story? Where did that story come from? There's a real story behind that fake story. And figuring out why people say these stories and how did these stories survive and some of them didn't, tells the story about us. Tells the story about the human race. These stories are mirrors. They're both time machines and mirrors at the same time. Okay? So what else did I write?
It reminds me about how when I was little, we had this picture in our cabin of a skier on a mountain. And my grandpa asked me, Susanna, how many people are in this picture? I said, there's one person in this picture. He said, no, there's two. There's the skier and there's the photographer. Like through every photo, you're getting the perspective of the photographer. It's not just the people pictured.
Wait, who said that? I'm going to use that.
My grandpa.
Wow. Can I steal that from him?
I'm sure my grandpa wouldn't mind.
Right. So here, I wrote, again, I'm just reading the things that just came out of my mind right away. I also wrote, we can make so Jordan Peterson was crying about the objective world and the narrative world touching through the story, through Jesus, right? What I wrote is that we can make them touch the narrative world and the objective world by telling you that the fake stories include a real story about the people that told those stories and why they told those stories. So I already mentioned that. So great. So now that I'm thinking about it, I said the same thing that first came out of my mind.
Nothing if not consistent.
It seems like it.
Hey guys, YouTube has fully demonetized our channel for supposedly hateful and harmful conduct without telling us what we did wrong. If we get to 1,000 patrons, we will be able to keep paying all our team, our editors, our artists without ever having to worry about monetization again. which would be amazing. Yay! So please support Atheist Republic on Patreon. Link in the description below.